Today is Saturday, April 14th, 2012, and we are interviewing Butch Shehorn in Springfield, Illinois. Butch, can you state for the record where you were born and your birthday?
I was born in Nason, Illinois, a little town south of Mount Vernon, June 46.
Okay. My name is Cheryl Walker, and I'll be interviewing you. Butch, could you share with us what war and branch of service you served in?
I was in the Army, 4th Division. We left at Fort Lewis, Washington, went directly to Vietnam.
Okay. Could you tell us what rank you were?
I was an E5 when I left, Sergeant E5.
Okay. And where did you serve?
In Vietnam was the Pleiku area.
And what was your job or assignment?
I was originally a Jeep driver, and they didn't have any roads when we got to where we was going, so it ended up being a 1st platoon radio operator in the field. Not a very good job.
Could you share us your story?
Well, I've got a little comedy, I think. First, I said, when we went to Vietnam, we were sent over on a World War II troop carrier with no training as far as going down the side of the boat, the nets they throw down the side. And the very first thing we did was get all tangled up, at least 25% of us got all tangled up in them ropes. Went upside down, backside up, and it was comical, really, you know, this, I only got half the men to go out. And then when we got in the boat, finally got everybody in the little boats, that's the ones where the door flops open to go to the beach, you know. We've got our M16s, what they issued us at Fort Lewis, but no shells. And we're going on this little boat, if you'll picture this, there's a firing range up there, which we don't know it's a firing range. So we think, this is the Army, we're gonna take this beach with no bayonets, M16, all we're using for is a club. You know, and they didn't tell us no, we was all scared to death. Didn't tell us no different. Finally, when they dropped the doors and stuff, we could see the firing range out there, and everybody so relieved, you know, it was really comical. And then our trip to Pleiku, we got the convoy to there was just dirt roads at that time. We were expecting to get to a base camp. Well, we got there, all there was a hill. The camp had never been built. So we had to put tents up and all that stuff. So we stayed in there for about 3 weeks, trying to set the camp up. And they sent us directly to the field. You know, none of us had any training because I went over as a division. We had our jungle training from stateside, which come to find out didn't do us a bit of good, harmed us more than anything. I can remember our first firefight, and I hadn't been in the field 2 or 3 days. And we got trapped in a creek. We was going down a creek, hills on both sides. Well, they'd had snipers. Let us get right in there, you know, in their trap. Had snipers on both sides of the creek up in the trees. Well, that, you know, we all didn't duck down. We just got in the creek and started firing at them snipers. Top of the trees. That's the only place we're looking where we could see them snipers. But they were real smart. They dug a guy down at the base of the tree. And none of us seen him. And we was getting guys hit right and left. You know, every time we get up to fire, you get hit. So this went on for, I don't know, at least an hour or two. And I mean, it took several men, 20, 30 men of our company. This is our very first firefight. And somebody spotted them snipers at the base of the tree. And then we left word and finally worked our way out of that situation. But that was one of of course I just got there, and that's one of the main things I can remember, you know. And then just a month or so later, we always had little firefights and little conflicts, you know, but nothing like getting overrun or nothing. The way they did that, the whole battalion was out there where you'd get on top of a hill, and B company's on top of one hill, C company's on top of another hill. Anyway, one night, it was so dark you could not see. The C company got overrun, and we were real close to them, but we couldn't go in because they'd shoot us. You know, they wouldn't know what they're shooting at. So finally, we went in there the next morning at daylight and picked up the wounded, and they had completely overrun that company. And one of my fellow operator that accidentally was a radio operator at Seat Company was from the hometown, Kenny Sheridan Shehorn. We was in service together all the time. We got over there, and he was alive. I couldn't get him on the radio, but I couldn't believe it. He was alive. And it was a gory-looking deal. They just completely overrun them. The only ones that was left was the ones that they didn't see or was dug in, or running right through that company. And that's one of the worst things I ever seen. And then as we traveled along through the whole year, we had firefights and stuff the whole year, but those are the two main things that I can remember and I'll never forget. We've had some men that got shot that I'll never forget. We called in a shell one time, smoke round, landed in front of us, and I was a radio operator. I felt kind of responsible, but I don't give the coordinates, I just relay them, to company commander. Anyway, one of my buddies was from Evansville, Indiana. He could draw, I can remember this, he could draw, tell him what your girlfriend looked like, he could draw her perfect. Your car, he could draw it perfect. He got up to went to use the bathroom, The very first HE landed right on top of it. And there's another thing, if you get picked up all his pieces, folks said that wasn't their boy from Evansville. And we had to sign this little piece of paper saying that we'd actually seen him and he was actually with him for them to ever believe it. And one of the regrets I've got, I've always wanted to go over and talk to them, but I'm sure they're dead now, and tell them I was there and it really happened. We were real good friends. But I could go on and tell war stories from now all night long, but I just soon not. I mean, I don't know how long interview we have to have. I might have something wrote down there. Well, not really. That's all. I mean, it ain't all I can remember, but we could talk and talk and talk. It had a lot of firefights, and the whole 4th Division were not trained to go into the jungle like that. It's a complete unit. It took us 4 to 6 months to catch on, and then it turned it around. We were the aggressors, we could take care of ourselves. Forgot about that training from stateside, and I had learned the hard way. It didn't work on us too bad at the end.
What kind of food did you have?
All we had were World War II sea rations. That's all we had all the time I was over there. When I first, it was right at the last, we got ready to come back, they had started some of those packaged in a plastic bag and you could heat them up. But the whole year I lived on World War II sea rations. Probably some of the stuff that my dad didn't eat.
Were they any good?
Well, everybody say that, lima beans for breakfast, you must skip several meals.
Did you have anything special for good luck?
Not really. Actually, I did not think I'd make it back after it was over 3 or 4 months. I just almost give up. I'll never be stateside anyway.
Did you have any entertainers come over?
Yes, we did. I was in the hospital, and Bob Hope came over, and what's her name, Phyllis Diller. They put on a good show for the whole hospital. I remember that distinctly. I just happened to be in the hospital at the right time.
Did you get any leaves when you were over there?
Yeah, I went to Bangkok, Thailand, fell in love. Went back to the company commander and told him, I said, I want to extend so I can go back to Bangkok. He said, nah, I'm not going to let you extend yet. He said, wait till the first firefight. And I crawled back to him after the next firefight. Now forget about that. He said, I knew you'd say that.
So you didn't go back to Bangkok?
No, I just stayed the shortest period of time I could. I got to come home 2 weeks early because I was in the hospital, so that worked out real good. The company commander, I was in base camp at that time, but the company commander ordered me to get on chopper pad B or C or whatever and come out to where they were at. I only had 10, 11 days. I wasn't going back to the field. That's when you get it, when you first get there or when you're ready to come home. So I just get on the wrong chopper pad, and this went on 3 or 4 days. And finally he made me come into battalion there at the base camp radio. He said, he knew me because I carried a radio. He said, Shehorn, probably shouldn't cuss on TV. He says, what the heck's going on? He says, you know how to get the chopper pad and you know how to get back out of here. I said, sir, I says, I've only got 9 or 10 days left to let you in. You know, and he says, oh, I didn't know that. He says, I'll see you stateside. I'll never forget them words. I got to come home a little bit early. But I'm telling the truth, that does happen lots of times. When you first get there, or when you get ready to come home, it seems like that's when you lose your man. It wasn't a fun place to be in.
What did you think of your officers?
The officers I went over with were in training just like we were, and I liked them. But after 6 months, they let the officers out of the field to keep the infantrymen in there, and they replaced them with new officers, and they didn't know nothing, but they wanted to give the orders because they was the officer. You know, I'll just give you, for instance, on that. Perry Boswell up in Arkansas with that long saw draw, you know. Me and him was in the foxhole with this new officer. He cleaned his weapon, hung it up in a tree. Well, we started had a sniper fire, and they wasn't really shooting at us, they shooting the foxholes in the front. We dug in behind. But he just went berserk. He kept reaching up for that rifle, and then they'd shoot at him. You know, every time he didn't need that rifle. That's what Perry told him. He says, sir, he said, I can't remember exactly, I bet it's long and drawn out. You don't need that blah blah rifle. He says, you're going to get your damn arm blown off trying to get it, and then you're not going to be able to use it. But he took him 5 minutes to say this is Arkansas draw. And he finally turned out to be all right. We had to give him a lot of training. I mean, you're not supposed to do that, but the officers right out of school, they don't know what's going on. We'd been over 6 months, so we knew what was going on. And we finally got him worked out where he's a pretty good guy.
When you got back, what did you do? Did you go back to school? Did you go to work?
I went right back to work, the place I'd worked before.
And where was that?
In Decatur, Illinois. I was a line mechanic, and went right back to work there.
Did you ever take advantage of the GI Bill or any?
Not that I know of. I've only started collecting any benefits in the last few years. And now I've drawn benefits, but I don't think any of them is illegal. It's stuff that happened to me and stuff I've got now. Old age.
Did you stay in contact with any of the men that you worked with?
This Perry, you know, was in the service with.
Mm-hmm.
Perry Boswell, my best friend, he just died. And me and him stayed in contact quite a bit. And then he would tell me about other people to get hold of him, and I'd tell him. But that was my best friend, and that's who I always stayed in contact with. And I just got a letter from his kids saying he died. I had pictures of him and me and stuff, and I took him down to him. We visit once every year or two.
How has your service and experience affected your life?
Well, the only thing I've really had a lot of problem with was nightmares. I used to, on my first wife, and me went to Florida, we didn't have any money, so on 4th of July, we was camped out in a tent. And she thought she married a crazy man, you know, because they started shooting them fireworks up, and I jumped up out of the tent looking for my weapon and hollering, and then she's, oh, I'm married here. But I'm not that bad anymore. It's kind of melted out. But anytime I see a chopper or a dead deer on the road or something, a lot of blood and guts, it just gives me a flashback. You know, I just can't help it. Just for a little bit, but it's there. And then still yet I have a few dreams. They're treating me for that. I mean, they give me a sleeping pill. It helps a lot.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, like I say, I could tell stories, but I think that's about it. Yeah.
Well, Butch, I would like to thank you for your time, and I'd like to thank you for serving our country. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.